Hello folks, thanks for joining me on this Diablo themed video, and I'm just going to be talking a little bit about the fact that at last it seems we have some exciting news regarding the franchise. So for the longest while we've been a little bit left in the dark as Diablo fans. There hasn't been a whole lot of information coming forth from Blizzard as to what's coming up next with the series. Diablo 3 went into maintenance mode a few years ago now, and we've not really heard anything since Blizzcon or any of the other gaming conventions. And as somebody who's been playing Diablo ever since Diablo 2 came out actually back in the late 90s, I always get excited about new games that are announced in the franchise. At the careers website for Blizzard, and you can see here on the job openings page, there are at least 2 that I found job openings for Diablo here under the category of unannounced project. There's the dungeon artist and the environmental artist. And as you can see, the first sentence pretty much, or the second sentence here, talks about the fact that Blizzard are working on an unannounced Diablo project. So there it is, absolutely confirmed, a Diablo project that hasn't yet been announced, but has been confirmed now to be in the works. So my guess is that this unannounced project is Diablo 4. Some people have speculated that perhaps it is a port to the Switch of Diablo 3. But no, I don't think that's possible. Not from the wording that's used here, a brand new project. Okay, I do not see this as a port at all. So perhaps this could be an expansion for D3, but again, in my opinion, that game has pretty much gone into maintenance mode now. We did get an expansion pack, I think, a couple of years ago for the Necromancer class, more of a DLC than an expansion. And it was confirmed that there was another expansion in the works of Diablo 3, but it never actually made its way through to completion. But we did get quite a lot of the content in free patches over the last few years as well for it. So I don't see this as being another expansion for that game. I think that game has run its course in terms of new content. This has to be Diablo 4. Now, whether or not this is going to be a Diablo game in the traditional sense, your top-down isometric action role-playing game genre, or whether or not it's going to be something that dabbles in another type of gameplay, I guess we'll have to wait and see. However, I actually suspect they won't move away from what we know and love about Diablo, that type of gameplay. In fact, I would be quite disappointed if they did. This is one of those series that's really, cemented itself as to what it is. We all know what to expect from Diablo. That's why we love it so much. And I kind of guess and assume that they are just going to continue on with the same formula, obviously by advancing the story further, bringing it into the next generation. Although that said, Diablo 3 still holds up, in my opinion, fairly well, even to this day, despite coming out in 2012. But I'd love to see where the franchise is going to go from here. The story from Diablo 3 and the Reaper of Souls expansion pack obviously leaves a lot open to interpretation, and with places to go after that point. Okay, so obviously I'm happy that a new project has been confirmed now to be in the works in the Diablo series. However, even though I suspect it's basically going to be Diablo 4, a little bit of speculation now on my part, I don't think it's going to be called Diablo 4. And here's the reason why I think that. When Diablo 3 was released back in 2012, a lot of fans and players became critical of many of the game's features and the way that it had implemented its game systems. Now, by far the most controversial system was the real money auction house, and according to Blizzard, this was a response to the fact that in Diablo 2 they had a huge problem with spammers and scammers and bots and all of this stuff, because people would go onto websites, third-party websites, and purchase the game's best gear. Now, Blizzard wanted to stop this from happening by making sure that the player could purchase the equipment they wanted to purchase with real money from the actual game itself, using this real money auction house. That way, people wouldn't have to go to third-party websites where they were at risk of getting scammed, and so on and so forth. And of course, the cynical part of me recognises the fact that Blizzard were taking a real money cut every time somebody sold an item on their auction house, and this was obviously going to be a revenue stream for them going forward. Unfortunately, it just didn't work at all. It basically ruined the game. It just meant it wasn't fun to play, and the reason for that was you didn't really feel like you was achieving anything in finding some of the game's best equipment because you could just purchase it anyway. And not only that, but when you did find the game's best equipment, you were super lucky because the itemization was just all over the place. It was completely randomized. All of the stats, everything was so random. You had to be so lucky to get anything. I think the reason for that was because they didn't want the real money auction house being absolutely flooded with gear. They wanted it to be something that, yes, there was always stuff to buy, but that it was competitive. And if they had too much good gear dropping in the game, then that wouldn't have been able to happen. So there was no easy way to progress as a player unless you used the auction house. And a lot of people didn't want to do that. The whole thing was just completely cocked up. And a lot of players were very resentful of that fact. Now, fortunately, Blizzard, they could have left it as it was. They could have left it and maybe the game would have, you know, dwindled out after a few months or a few years. But they did take, and I do give them credit for this, they did take the brave decision to completely revamp the game, to close the real money auction house and the gold auction house, and to completely re-itemise all of the gear in the game. And Diablo 3, for the first time, with the expansion Reaper of Souls, became a fantastic game, a very fun and addictive game to play. However, sadly, this means that the legacy of Diablo 3 has basically been ruined to some degree. And I think that really hurt the game. Even today, when I go onto websites such as IGN, if I see they've posted a Diablo 3 article, a lot of the people that are commenting on that article will be saying things like, Diablo 3 is such a trash game, can't believe how rubbish it is, I played it when it first came out, never looked back since. It's got such a bad reputation now because of its initial launch. And by the way, the launch was terrible itself. It was lagging and crashing all over the place. I still remember that. But a lot of people haven't forgiven the fact that it changed so much from the previous Diablo games when it was first released that they've just not looked back at it since. And yes, Blizzard have gone and fixed it all now, and it is the game that we expected to get on launch. But a lot of people haven't come back or still aren't aware of that. And so, as I say, the legacy has suffered big time. And I think for that reason, we won't be actually seeing the next Diablo game being Diablo 4, since in people's minds, that's still going to be a continuation of what they hated in this current generation game, or in the current Diablo game, Diablo 3. I think Blizzard are going to want to keep things fresh going forward. So whatever it is that we are going to get as the next Diablo project, I'm fairly confident that Blizzard are going to have learned a lot from Diablo 3. They're going to take a lot of lessons on board. I do find that Blizzard are very good at listening to fans and taking on board what it is that the fans request and what the fans like and don't like. And Diablo 3 now, it is a great game. I do encourage you guys to check it out if you haven't done so for a few years, and see what you think of it if you only played the original version of the game. But please do as well share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think we can expect from a new Diablo game, especially in lieu of the history of D3 and just the adventure that this game has been on over the past few years, and all the changes and updates that we've seen to it over that period of time as well. But also, what would you want to see from the next Diablo project? Would you, like me, want to see a continuation of what we've come to expect from the Diablo series, this top-down action role-playing, loot-collecting type of fun? Which, to be honest, that is Diablo at its core, isn't it? I really can't see it being anything other than that. You know, a lot of franchises tend to delve into different genres and stuff as they release new games. I think we've seen that, you know, quite recently, actually, with God of War. I've loved that latest God of War game, by the way, even though it changed the series up quite a bit with the style of it. But I don't think Diablo would do that. But please, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. What it is you think we'll see, what it is you'd like to see, and also what ideas you have going forward about the story and that of Diablo, especially in lieu of where Diablo 3's taken it so far, and with the expansion. I mean, I kind of get the feeling that there's something going on with the angelic host in heaven, especially Imperius. He's not really the most friendly of angels at the moment, is he? But yeah, whether or not we'll see any of that in Diablo 4, whatever it's going to be called, we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I'm looking forward to the next Diablo project. I reckon Blizzcon will be hearing something more concrete. But, you know, that's only a few months away now, so hopefully not long to wait. But thanks for stopping by today, guys. I'll see you next time.